So welcome to this another PRI.M.E online training. This time we are going to talk about disability and how to communicate with people with intellectual disabilities. So today we are going to have with us some experts and specifically three of the partner organizations that are in PRI.M.E project. They are going to share their knowledge and their stories with us. They are organizations that work daily with people with disabilities. And we will start also, let's say, we will start with our Greek partner, ESTIA. And we will start with Maria, well, two Marias, but you will explain later. So, Maria, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. We're very glad to be in this nice sunny weather in Greece. So we hope that the similar weather is in your country. And today we're going to talk to a very important issue that we all be aware of what disability means to everyone. So that's why we're all here in this nice discussion, and we're all friends, I would call, because some of us know each other, some others we will meet together. And today I'm here with you, not alone, but I have a very best friend and a colleague, Maria Koti. Maria, I have to speak Greek, I'm afraid, just for a few seconds. Maria, θα θέλεις να πεις ένα γεια σας σε όλους? Ναι, καλημέρα.
Ναι, γεια σας και από μένα. Τα λένε Μαρία.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Maria.
Είμαι από τους παλιούς αποδεχόμενους.
I'm a trainee in ESTIA. Και θα μιλήσουμε σε λίγο.
Και θα μιλήσουμε σε λίγο.
Maria will have a very, very important presentation to show you in a while. But first of all, I would like to speak just for a while, and then I could give the speech to Maria. My first question is, and I was just worrying before start this nice presentation. Okay, today we're going to talk about disability. But what does really disability means? It's a very big and theoretical question that I don't know if any of you have ever been minded. Okay, when we talk about a disabled person or a person with a disability, what really disability means? That's why I would like all of you, if you would like, just to write down a small sentence about in the chat about what does disability means for each one of you. General thoughts about a disabled person, maybe a label, maybe a picture, something that reminds you of a disability. Please write down in the chat so we can all have the questions and the right. They're not right or wrong answers. They're all correct answers. Okay, let's see. We're still waiting for few sentences to write down. Support, yes. Special, very nice. Okay. There is a way that I cannot do things. Specific needs, fewer opportunities. Person that has a different needs. Okay. Oh, assistance. So that individual can participate in a public life. Okay. Oh, I don't know why here today, Susanna, because I think that our participants are very familiar with disability. It's really, really nice to read those answers because, yes, if you would like to conclude all these answers about disability, I think we have all those very important quotes and answers in the chat. So I don't think that why we need this discussion and this presentation about disability. Okay, yes, we all agree that all the answers are right questions and right answers and votes. Yes, we really thank you. But let's see some of meaning definition about what disability means. Yes, right. Before we would like to start, let's see what does disability means, because we maybe are familiar with the word, but there is also a very important definition about disability. So, disability is a condition where the body or the mind might makes it more difficult for the person with a condition to do certain activities in the life. As you mentioned before, that there are some certain circumstances that people might need help. Disability results from the interaction between individuals with health conditions, like a person with Down syndrome, and environmental factors, which are very important when we talk about environmental factors in the disability world. We might include negative attitudes, unacceptable transportation, public buildings that are not so accessible, or limited social support. And when we talk about disabilities in all the bibliography, in all over the years, we will see that in the disability world, I will call it, there are two different approaches. There are two different models of disabilities in practice. And why we will say that? Because if you look to all through those years, the disability theory says that there are difficult approaches of how you look and how you act, or how you write, or how you behave, or you treat a person with disability. So let's go back to see the models. There are two very important models about disability. The first model, which is called the social model of disability, says that disability is caused by the way that looks the person and the way that is organized, and how they would like to treat a person with disability. The other way, which is the medical model of disability, says that the people is responsible for their disability and their impairments, and that's why they are different. As you can see in the graphics, you will see that the person sits in the middle, and the way that society treats and try to have the people, or how the society is organized, is that's why they produce disability. The opposite side says because the person has the disability or the impairments, that's why they have disability. And when we talk about the disability, we'll have to take in our minds what kind and what types of disabilities. There are some types of disabilities that they're already in our world, and you can see that would like to see there are the physical disabilities, where a physical disability is a limitation of a person of functionality or mobility. We have the sensory disabilities, people who are blind, who are deaf. We have mental disabilities. We have a person who has schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. We have multiple disabilities, which was a term with a combination of disabilities. For instance, for example, some person may have both sensory disability or motor disability. And of course, we have this developmental disability, where conditions like autism, Down syndrome, or intellectual disability. And we'll
Maria,
look
sorry, Maria. I think we are not seeing the right PowerPoint. We are seeing the what is a disability. Yes, now we have types of disability. Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Just give me a second again. Okay, is it better now?
Yes, we see types of disability in all
Okay,
the PowerPoint, not the presentation, but all the PowerPoint.
excellent. So I can carry on now. Yeah.
Yes.
Again, as I said before, there is approximately 1.3 billion people all around the world they have a type of disability. Okay, yes. So, but when we talk about disability, and more specific, intellectual disability, there are different definitions all in the bibliography where they say what a disability, intellectual disability means. In my presentation, I would like to share the World Health Organization definition about what this intellectual disability means. And according to the World Health Organization, intellectual disability is a condition of arrested or incomplete development of the mind, which is especially characterized by impairment of skill manifested during the developmental period, which is contribute to the overall level of intelligence. For example, cognitive, language, motor, and social abilities. So what's exactly is the intellectual disabilities and what conditions link to the intellectual disabilities? You may have seen all around in the world people with Down syndrome, with autism, with Fragile X syndrome, with Williams syndromes, or with fatal alcohol spectrum syndromes. All these are called people with intellectual disability. And what are exactly the characteristics of a person with intellectual disability? There are some common characteristics for all the people who have intellectual disabilities. And some of the most common characteristics that you can see are some problems that they may face with social interactions, some communication difficulties, some difficulties in social interactions, and some other difficulties, for example, basic academic skills such as reading, writing, or numeracy. But when we talk about intellectual disabilities, does a person with intellectual disabilities is similar to another one? The answer is no. There are different levels of intellectual disabilities. And why it's important to recognize and to know the levels of intellectual disabilities? The answer is because sometimes it's the different the way that we treat or we support a person with intellectual disability. And that's why it's very important to recognize the levels of intellectual disabilities. So that's why there are some diagnostic tools, and the most familiar and common diagnostic tool is the DSM-5, which according to these diagnostic tools, we can see that we have some levels of disabilities. The first level disability is the mild intellectual disabilities, which the IQ of a person is between 50 to 70. So the characteristics of those persons, they have a slower than a typical in all developmental areas. And what does this mean? But there are people who are able to learn practical life skills. There are people that are able to go to the schools or even to universities. They are able to be blended in the society, in the daily life, and they are very independent and included in the society. They may, from the other side, have some struggle with complex tasks, but they can typically work and live independently in our community. The next level is the moderate level of disability. And again, the IQ of a person with intellectual disabilities can be from 35 to 49. And the characteristics of this level of intellectual disability, they can see that, again, they can be in our society. They're very included and independent people, but they might need an extra little help. They have some abilities to communicate, but in more basic and simple ways. They can complete self-care activities. Sometimes they can even travel alone or with a small assistant, and they can engage in a social activities with some assistance. The next level, it's a severe intellectual disabilities. And in that level of intellectual disability, they could see that the IQ of a person is between 20 to 34. In that category of intellectual disability, we can see that the individuals, they might require significant support for the most daily activities, and sometimes they may live in the residential care facilities. They're able to learn daily routines. They may learn very simple self-care. and they also need some direct supervision in social situations. And the last level of intellectual disability is the profound intellectual disability, where the IQ of a person is between 0 to 20, so means that that person requires a lifelong time intensive support for all his aspects of the daily living, including communication and mobility. A person with profound intellectual disability, in most cases, not capable of independent living and may need support to physical and social activities. Treatment support. When we work with a person with disability, when we have to support a person with intellectual disability, we will have to keep in mind what will be the best support, the best treatment that we can provide for a person with intellectual disability. Again, in bibliography, you will see different types of treatments and supports that you can provide to a person with intellectual disabilities. The most common treatment and supports is the early intervention. As we can see, as soon as we know that a person has his intellectual disability, as soon as we can provide a specialized educational programs and therapies, which those therapies and programs focus on the developmental skills, especially during the early childhood, we can see that we can improve the skills of a person with intellectual disability. There are programs and there are special activities in speech and occupational therapy, which is very, very important therapies because they can help individuals with communication, motor skills in their daily activities. And also there are different techniques. The most useful technique you can say is the ABA, the Applied Behavior Analysis, task analysis, individual planning programs, which all those programs and techniques can help and improve social and adaptive skills of a person with intellectual disabilities. In some cases, and you can see that the medication, which is not actually very famous or very useful, they might be very prescribed to manage or to cure with some conditions, especially when a person with intellectual disability has anxiety, depression, or epilepsy. But when we have to be in or to support a person with intellectual disability, we'll have to be very careful about the language. The language, it's very, very, very important because it's the way that we communicate. Even if you want to write a report or to make a research or to write a proposal about intellectual disability, what language can we use when we have to refer to a person with intellectual disability? Again, in the bibliography, in the last decades, there are different terminologies and different words about intellectual disability. The most common characteristics and common labels that they used for the intellectual disabilities, first of all, it was a mental retardation, which was this useful terminology was used from the American Psychiatric Association. Again, that was in the diagnostic tool, which was called the DSM, which was 1994 in the World Health Organization. Then there was the updated definition that the mental retardation was replaced by the term disorders of intellectual development. The diagnostic tool of DSM-5 refers to a person with intellectual disability, and which is the most updated terminology that we use when we have to refer to a person with intellectual disability. But there is sometimes a confusion in the terminology, especially in the UK bibliography, because the mental handicap, it was the most, for many, many decades, it was the most common term when you refer to a person with disability. And it was replaced by the meaning of the learning difficulties. In that point, we have to be very, very careful, because when we talk about learning difficulties in America, we refer to the educational and the specific learning difficulties and only in education system. When we talk about learning difficulties in the UK, we refer to a person with intellectual disability. But when we refer to a person with learning difficulties in the American dictionary, you can see that it's a person with special educational needs. This is a small difference that you all have to be aware when you read the bibliography or you try to find an article about a person with intellectual disability. Over the past two decades, the term of intellectual disability has been the most preferable and the most advocate reference that you can use in order to speak for a person with intellectual disability. But when you have to write down something, when you have to look again to references about intellectual disability, when you have to apply for a proposal and you need to use some words and some phrases in order to describe the intellectual disability and in general disability, again, we have to be very careful, because language is something that it's in a disability world, something that we use in every day, and we all people have to respect and to be very aware of the language that we use when you speak or when we write. That's why here we can see that there are some words that it's we say it's good to avoid, and instead of them we can use some other words. For example, we never use the word handicapped. We try to use the word disabled person. We don't use the word subnormal. Instead of that, we can use a person with intellectual disability. We try to avoid the word cripple. We use, again, a person with disability. We don't use the word spastic. We use a person with cerebral palsy. Also, we don't use the word blind. We use people with visual impairments or blind people. You know, there are several terminology that we all have to take care. And if you look down, there is a reference from the UK, the Gov UK, where all those do and don't in disability language, it's available for everyone to look. And if you have some time, please have a just to read and to have in mind next time when you have to write down something about intellectual disability, what will be the right word to use in order to write something which is referred to intellectual disability. But disability is not all about the reading something or speak to someone. It's how we communicate. What is the code of communication? And not only for intellectual disability, it's important to think in your mind all type of disabilities. So that's why when you talk to a person with a disability, a disabled person, it's a good idea to speak directly to the person with disability and not to their assistant or to the companion. We always have to take care and to have in our mind that we offer help to someone, but would never insist. When we introduce ourselves, it's a good idea to give a handshake if they want and if it's acceptable. And we only talk and we only ask help about their disability if they need. Otherwise, it's not a good idea to start discuss about, okay, hi, oh, I see you're a person with Down syndrome. Tell me, how difficult is your life? We have to avoid this kind of conversations. And we always have to keep in our minds that adults should be treated as adults regarding their disability. We're not talking to a person with disability like be a child. Oh, how I can understand your disability? Yes, I understand. They're adults, and we have to respect persons about their dignities and to talk as they are. When we interact with a person with a vision impairment, we all have to take care and we have to think that we don't greet with handshake. We just say hello verbally. When you want to say hello again, it's a good idea if you just hand or your shoulder for guidance. We give them always verbal instructions, and if there is a guide dog, we don't mess or we don't play with the dogs because dogs, they are the eyes of a person with vision impairments. So we'll have to be careful when we treat or we have to go out and to see a person with a vision impairment or blind. And we also ask how they would like to prefer the information to be presented. This is very important because most of people with visual impairments, they use Braille language or large photocopies or CDs. So that's why it's a good idea just to ask a person, okay, how would you like to give you the information? When we interact with people with physical disabilities, we always have to keep in our minds that it's a good idea to sit down in the level of a person where the communication will be easier for both of communicators. And also we have to check if the environment is accessible for a person with a physical disability. That means that we don't move the wheelchairs and they always try to have the most accessible environment place that can provide for a person with a physical disability. Hearing impairments. Again, when we would like to communicate with a person with hearing impairments, it's a good idea, would like, first of all, to ask how they communicate and what do I mean about that. It's really important to see if a person with hearing impairment communicates with a sign language or with lip reading or use headphones or would like to have an easy to read book in order to communicate. We have to remember that speaking too loudly, sometimes it's not the best way to communicate. It's a good idea to call the person by their name when you want to address something. Or if you are not sure that someone didn't hear you very well, you can just touch gently on the arm or the shoulder. The best advice that we can give you is try to make eye contact. Eye contact is very important, and we all have to be aware that we have to keep our face and our mouth visible in order for a person to understand us what we're saying to them. Interaction with people with autism. I think our colleagues will be in deeper information about people with the autism, but we always have to avoid crowded places when we are with a person with autism. We have to avoid loud noises, strong smells, and also we have to think that we need some time. Take some time in order to listen of what they want to tell us. Again, adults should be treated as adults, and we don't have to focus on their disability. How we interact with people with speech or language disorders, we have to make that our senses are small and simple. Use simple language in order to understand. Again, it's very important to keep in mind that people with speech difficulties do not have limited intelligence. That means that there are people like us, and so we have to treat them equally. We have to give them a direct contact and be able to look again in our eyes, because it's a good idea to look and to focus to their eyes other than look somewhere else, because it will be very difficult for them to read sometimes our lips. we don't have to pretend that we understand someone. It's really important that if we feel that we don't understand really something that they say, it's not bad. It's a good idea to say, could you please again repeat what you say because I couldn't understand. That means that we accept others and we want to have a conversation. So try to speak to them and don't afraid to say, please, can you repeat what you said because I couldn't understand very well. Be aware that sometimes that the communication may take a little bit longer. Don't rush in general. Take your time and be patient. Last but not least, when we interact with a person with intellectual disabilities, we always have to, again, have in mind that our speech must be very simple, clear, and with a very simple vocabulary. If they don't understand what we say, we have to repeat what we say. We have to be aware that we have to focus on the person and not on their disability. And that's the motto have in ESTIA is that when we have interact with a person with disabilities, we always interact with a person and not with his or her disability. And in that moment, I have to explain what I just said to Maria, because Maria has something to say about that. So you have to excuse me for a few seconds, I have to speak in Greek now. Μαρία, όταν μιλάμε σε κάποιον άνθρωπο που έχει κάποια αναπηρία, μιλάμε για την αναπηρία του, έχει τον ίδιο τον άνθρωπο. And I just ask Maria, when you talk to a person with disability, we talk about the person or about his or her disability. Τι είναι πιο σημαντικό, να μιλάμε?
Ναι, και να μιλάμε, αλλά πιο πολύ να το αποδεικνύει πιο πολύ στην πράξη.
Okay, Maria says we have to talk, but we have to prove them with our act. And that point, I would like to give the speech to Maria, because Maria is going to present her presentation about what a Down syndrome means for her. And Maria is a supporter and a trainee in the IT workshop here in ESTIA, and she made that presentation all by herself. So I would like to give Maria the speech now to just present her presentation about what Down syndrome means for her. So to just give us for a few seconds to change the slides. Maria, θες να ξεκινήσεις για την παρουσίασή σου, να μας πεις για το σύνδρομο Down? Okay. Maria, she will speak in Greek and I will translate in English. Okay, έτσι. Maria?
Κάποιοι άνθρωποι γεννιόμαστε και μεγαλώνουμε με το σύνδρομο Down. Σε όλη μας τη ζωή έχουμε αυτή την αναπηρία. Εμείς όμως την κάνουμε ό,τι θέλουμε.
Maria says that, as you can read, that some people were born and grow up with a Down syndrome, but we have this ability in our life. We do it as we want to do it. Yeah, Maria?
Εμείς λοιπόν όπως μας βλέπετε έχουμε πολλές δυνατότητες να κάνουμε πολλά πράγματα και είμαστε ίσοι όπως όλοι. Με αυτές τις δυνατότητες που έχουμε μπορούμε να κάνουμε τον κόσμο ακόμα καλύτερο.
As you can see, us, we have a lot of abilities and do many things. We're equal like everyone. With these abilities, we can do the world even better.
Οι άνθρωποι που μία ζωή θα είμαστε για η όλη μας τη ζωή με τη νοητική ανεπηρία δικαιούμαστε να έχουμε όπως όλος ο κόσμος τα ίδια δικαιώματα. Όπως είναι το να κυκλοφορούμε μόνοι μας και η διαχείριση χρημάτων.
We, as disabled people, we need to have the same rights, like to, for example, to move independently and to have our own money.
Έχουμε δικαιώματα όπως όλοι, αλλά έχουμε και υποχρεώσεις, όπως όλοι οι πολίτες στην κοινωνία, σε αυτό το προάστιο της πόλης μας. Είμαι ένα κύριο πρόσωπο της εστίας, που έχω και θα εκδικήσω τα δικαιώματά μου.
We have rights and duties like everyone in the society. I am a main person in ESTIA who I have and fight for my own rights.
Θέλω να έχω κάποια στιγμή της ζωής μου το δικό μου σπίτι και δουλειά και να είμαι ενταγμένη έξω στην κοινωνία μας. Όπως όλοι, είμαι μία μονάδα της κοινωνίας, ελεύθερη στις επιλογές μου.
I would like to have some time in my life, my own house, job, and to be part of our society. Like all, I am a person in the community free for my choices.
Οι άνθρωποι που μεγαλώνουμε με το σύνδρομο Down αποκτούμε στη ζωή μας γνώσεις που μας είναι χρήσιμες για την κοινωνία μας και εμείς είμαστε χρήσιμοι για τη χώρα μας.
We, people who grow up with Down syndrome, gain knowledge in our life, which is useful to us, for our society, and we're all useful and for our country.
Δεν είναι λόγος αυτός που φοβάστε, γιατί το σύνδρομο δεν είναι καμιά αρρώστια για να κολλήσετε κάποιο μικρόβιο. Είναι με πολύ απλά λόγια ο κάθε άνθρωπος που μεγαλώνει με κάποια προνόμια ζωής.
There is no reason to be afraid because the syndrome is not a disease to catch a germ. It is, in very simple words, every grown man with some life privileges. Now, Maria, she wrote down a poem, and I'm afraid it's only in Greek. Maria, θες να το διαβάσεις το ποίημά σου?
Ναι.
Maria, she will to read this poem in Greek.
Ένα από όλα αυτά τα ποίηματα που έχω γράψει το έχω αναμάσει τα φωτεινά του λιχνάρια.
Okay, she has written down many poems, and that this is one about life.
Χαρά έχω στη ψυχή μου, αγάπη στην καρδιά μου, αγκαλιά στη ζωή. Είσαι όλα τα όμορφα σε αυτή τη γη. Δώσ' μου εσύ φτερά για να πετάξω πιο ψηλά. Ένα γέριο σου με δυναμώνει στη ζωή, χωρίς να μάθω το όνομά σου. Θα είμαι γνωστή σου από μία λέξη που θα πει το κύμα σου, ότι με αγάπη αγκαλιάζει, οθεί η ψυχή μου από νερό της αλήθειας.
What this poem says that I have happiness in my heart and love. I can hug the life. Life is so beautiful and give me wings so I can fly even more, even higher. And one just smile gives me some power to my life. And I really would like to have the water of truth.
Αυτό λοιπόν που γνωρίσατε ήταν αυτό λοιπόν είναι το σύνδρομο Down. Ευχαριστώ πολύ που μου δώσατε την προσοχή σας.
Okay, Maria says, this is Down syndrome for me, and thank you for your attention. That's it all for me. Thank you for watching and listening to this conversation and this nice presentation. If you have some questions, please feel free to write down to the chat, and Maria or I will be here for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, both Marias. I think it's very, very interesting. And then have also this first, let's say, speech also from Maria, from her perspective, her life, her direct story. I think it's really, really interesting. And the following presentations will also be with some surprises. Intervention, it will be some intervention and first we will not lose any more time. We will start with PSONI from Gdansk, is our partner from Poland. Before going to a quick break in this training, we will have the intervention of Ola, of Alexandra, right? So you start. And yeah, now we will see more dynamic and practical parts from this training. So I will give the floor to Alexandra. And yes, I'm sorry about my internet. I hope that the important part, the knowledge that Ola will give to you, it will be smooth. Ola, the floor is yours.
Can you hear me well? Yes, and can you see
Now, yes.
Can you see my presentation too?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start. Hello, my name is Ola, and I work in Polish Association for People with Intellectual Disability for 13 years. And for these 13 years, I have occasion and pleasure to talk with people with intellectual disability. And today I will share with you my experiences, my knowledge in this subject, and I hope after this short training you will feel more comfortable and more self-confident in a contact with people with intellectual disability. So I will tell you the main two topics. First, it's going to be the shorter part about interpersonal communication. I will tell you what is that, what are the goals of interpersonal communication, and also what are the main rules of that. And second part, it's main part, so I think more important, it's how to communicate with people with intellectual disability. Maybe you will see some difficulties, but I hope you will see more similarities. And I will give you some tips to make it easier. So what is interpersonal communication? Interpersonal communication is the spoken or nonverbal exchange of information, ideas, and emotions between two or more individuals. And you need to know that each message which you give to another person consists of the three parts. And first, it's verbal communication, so spoken communication. I think when people think first about communication, they think about this part, but it's also body language. So it's facial expression, gestures, body movement, but also eyes contact. And the third part, it's auditory elements, so also tone of your voice and speed of your speech, for example, are really important. For me, it was surprising, but the verbal communication, so the spoken communication, it's responsible for the smallest part of the entire message. it's only 7%. So it means that body language and also auditory elements are responsible for 93. And I think it's important to remember that when we communicate with other people and with people with intellectual disability too. Here you can see two main goals of interpersonal communication. First, it's exchange information, knowledge, ideas, opinion, or emotions. And second, it's create, develop, and maintain interpersonal relationships. Of course, you can find a lot of more goals, but I think those two are the most important during our training. You know that during your lives, probably you will have different situation. You meet people with intellectual disability. You can meet people with intellectual disability in shop. So then you will have only a while to communicate with them. Also, I hope that all we will have, or some of them we already have, the possibility to have relationship with people with intellectual disability every day. So in a long-term relationships, and of course, communication in this both situations is different. I'm going to be focused more about this long-term relationships because it's connected with our project. So now I'm going to switch to the 10 rules of communication. It's like common rules. And I think that all of you know them and probably you follow them every day. So I will not talk a lot. I only will read them. So it's listen carefully. First, show interest, don't interrupt, pay attention to body language of you, about your body language, but also second person body language. It can show you a lot also. Send clear messages. Here, like really short example that when you speak about some sad things, don't smile because it's not clear. Don't overinterpret. Pay attention to syntax and specialized vocabulary. I mean, we use different vocabulary when we are talking with different people. Like we use different vocabulary when we are talking with our grandmas and our colleagues from our work. So it's important to remember about that, to understand each other well. You don't always have to be right. It's the next. Don't get carried away by emotions. And the last one is show empathy. And I think that here was the most important rules, and I think that they are most important in every communication with all the people. So these three aspects: it's empathy, openness to others, and respect. In general, I think that there is no separated rules on how to communicate with people with intellectual disability. So today I will give you some tips more than the rules. They are based on my experiences, knowledge, and yes. But during all the presentation, I want you to remember about empathy, openness to other, and respect. And in the end, I will come back to that. So first tip, try to get to know each other. I think it's worth to find someone about another person at the beginning of your relationship to learn something about him or her. You can ask some questions. It's nice if you can also introduce yourself. If you share some information about yourself, maybe you can find something which you have in common, like you like the same things, you have the same hobby, maybe you have similar characteristics. I think it's much easier to talk to the person who you know a little, to the totally unknown person. So if you have occasion, try to get to know each other. Of course, not every time you will have occasion to do that, but yeah, it's important to try, and I hope that in our project we'll have occasion to have these long-term relationships, and you can use my tips then. Second, who are you talking to? It's, I think, popular that you can meet people with intellectual disability in a various situation, like they are accompanied by parents or assistants or other professionalists. But even if it's a group, speak directly to the person with intellectual or other disability, not to their parents or assistants. Here it's really simple example that if you want to know how was Adam's trip, you should ask Adam, how did you enjoy your trip? Not his father, mother, or assistant. How did Adam enjoy his trip? And I'm going to give you some example from my personal experiences, work experiences. Last year in a Best Buddy program, it's a program where we create friendly couple between people with intellectual disability and volunteers. And we had the main subject of last year was accessibility. And Best Buddy couples went to the coffee places and checked the accessibility of them using the special survey, which we prepared all together. And one of the main of the question in this survey was, how did workers of the coffee place treat you? If they were spoken directly to you, if they was willing to help, if they pay attention on you, if you felt that you had really contact with them, or they only pay attention on your assistant, I mean Best Buddy. So it's really important that we also always need to include person with intellectual disability into the conversation and pay attention on them. But you can meet yourself in the situation, you can find yourself in the situation when you are not really able to communicate verbally with a person with intellectual disability because, for example, he or she doesn't communicate verbally, it can happen, or she or he doesn't speak clearly and you don't understand at the beginning, or maybe he or she doesn't answer your questions. In this situation, you can communicate with second person, like assistant or parent, but it's really important to inform the person with intellectual disability that we are going to do that we are going to talk about him or her. And also try to include the person into the conversation. If you can do it with verbal communication, you can do it with gestures, with body language, watching on him or them. So yeah, give them him or her opportunity to be included into the conversation. It's really important. As you already know, language really matters. And in PSONI, we always say person with disability, person with intellectual disability. Never we said say disabled person. And for me, it's a base because we need to remember that disability is just one of the characteristics of another person, and it's not something more important than their other characteristics. Because that person, if you have contact, probably have one or two disability, but also he or she has a lot of abilities. So when we meet a new person with intellectual disability, we don't need to think about this disability only. We need to remember that the person has his or her own character, talents, hobbies, maybe some difficulties, but also some his or her own interest and lifestyle. And all these factors can impact your communication. In general, the language which you use describing people with disabilities are really important, and it really impacted them, how they feel themselves, how they have about their perspective of themselves. So, for example, when you are describing person with disability, with intellectual disability on others, don't use disability as a main character. You don't need to say that, oh, my friend Anya, she has a Down syndrome. You can say, my friend Anya, she's really smiling always and she has nice pink sweater. It also her description. Plain language is the next tip. You should speak in simple, understandable language, but you shouldn't use childish language. If you are talking with person with or adult person with intellectual disability, we should address our language, our vocabulary to the person and his or her age. Also, it's not like you need to use plain language to every person with intellectual disability. Maybe you can start with that, but after time you will see which kind of words with what kind of language you can use. For example, if you are talking with a person with intellectual disability about his or her hobby, of course, you can use more complex vocabulary if you know that you have the same interest and if you know this vocabulary. So it's really important to remember always that everyone is different and you will use different language with people. So you should know the rules of plain language, more suggestions, and I want to compare them with easy to read language because we already had training with Monica about easy to read language. So I know that all of you know the rules. And some of them you can use also when you speak. with people with intellectual disability or other people. So address the message directly to the person with who you talk. Use simple sentences. Use colloquial popular words. You can repeat them multiple times because we are used to that. We should, use alternatives when you are speaking to make the language more beautiful, let's say. It's not really necessary. It's better to repeat, I think. Next point, it explain words which can be difficult to understand. Also, when you see that maybe another person doesn't understand, you can ask, do you understand this word or should I describe it? And if it's needed, you can describe the word. Avoid metaphors. Don't use borrowings from other languages, which are more and more popular, I think. And use examples. Examples is my favorite part. I love examples. I will not give you a lot, but I will try to give you some. Assertiveness, it's the next tip. Being assertive means communication your needs, wants, feelings, beliefs, and opinions to others in a direct and honest manner. And you need to remember that in a conversation, we have two parts. It's a person with who you talk, in this case, person with intellectual disability, but the second part, it's you. So it's always important to take care also about yourself in the relationship, and it's your role. So in a situation when you don't feel comfortable for some reasons, it's really important to communicate it. And here I'm going to give you some example. I think it's important. And it's going to be example about setting boundaries, because it's really, really important in every relationships to set the boundaries. As you probably know, I coordinate volunteers in PSONI, and every year we have new group, foreign volunteers, and every year I give them similar tips as I give you now. And one of them is that you shouldn't hug and be really close with people who you don't know, with people with intellectual disability and not who you don't know. And every time when you are going to visit all the facilities, because it's the first step, our participants with intellectual disability, they try to hug our volunteers, even if they don't know them. They know that they shouldn't, but they like trying them. And sometimes my volunteers, they remember my tip and they say no, even if they don't know Polish, so it's important to show it with gestures. And they giving the hands to another person, but sometimes they hug them. So it's also about your decision. For me, as a Polish person, I think in general in Poland, we are a little bit distance set. So it's not popular to hug people during the first meetings when you don't know them. Sometimes you decide never to hug people, even if you have a relationship, and it's okay. But it's really important to set in the boundaries from the beginning between you and people with intellectual disability. Of course, you can change them when you when your relationship is changing, when you are closer. Of course, sometimes you can be closer to each other. It's okay, but maybe not from the beginning. And it's your role to take care about that. It's about equal treatment, because I think that we should treat the people with intellectual disability the same way as we treat all the people in the world. It's not the differences. So remember about your own comfort in a relationship. Of course, it's nice if you take care about comfort of another person too, but the main thing is that you should feel comfortable. If you don't, communicate it. Also, in situations where someone asks you questions when you don't want to answer, you don't need to answer. Or if you don't like some subject, you can change it. It's okay. Also, now it came to my mind, sometimes when I have a relationship with people with intellectual disability, I meet the situation and they speak all the time about themselves. I'm asked, how are you? What is your day? And they're answering, but they don't have, sometimes, because everyone is different, but sometimes they don't ask, how am I? Yes, and if it's, a really professional situation, I don't need it, but in friendly situation, it's nice if we, can share the information. So in this case, when a person with intellectual disability or other person doesn't ask me about how I am, I'm asking, maybe you want to know how I feel today. Maybe you want to know what I did do today. And it's popular that I said, no, yes, so I'm also telling about myself, because you need to know, you probably know that the conversation is like sharing information, not only like possibility to speak for one person. So about summarizing a little, if you don't understand something, you can ask. It's really okay. And in another situation, when you see that the other person doesn't understand, you can ask if he or she needs explanation, and you can explain again. Give me a while. If you don't feel comfortable in some situation, you can communicate it. The next, really important, before you help, ask. Often people think that all people with disability need help. Maybe they need, but it's better to ask them that offer help without asking. Also, I think that it's the tendency to finish the sentences for people with intellectual disability, for example, when they speak really slow, but don't do that. Give the time to the person and don't interrupt or finish the other person's sentence. Also, give the time to yourself. As I said at the beginning, in all the relationships, the most important things are empathy, openness to others, and respect. I also think that patience is really important. Patient to you and patient to another person. So give yourself time, give the time to another person. Maybe at the beginning you will not know how to communicate with him or her. Maybe you will need some time to know each other better, to find your own way of communication, and it's okay and it's nice. Also important thing, you can do mistakes. You are not specialists, and even if you are, you can do mistakes. In my opinion, building relationships, it's like learning process. So we can learn each other, and we can learn how to communicate better and better. We don't need to be perfect on that. I will give you some short example. I will. As you know, I work with people with intellectual disability a really long time, and I often do some interviews with them. I have some meetings with new people, and I had planned the meeting with Daniel and Monica. She told me that Daniel, he doesn't communicate verbally, so I knew that. But he's supposed to be with his assistant those days for support, but the assistant couldn't come. So I decided, okay, I can try to communicate with Daniel by myself. Because he didn't communicate verbally, at first I started with questions which he can answer yes or no, but it didn't work. So I gave him the piece of paper and I asked him about draw the answers. It was easy questions and I wanted him to draw the answers. He started to draw. He was drawing like 15 minutes. And after this 15 minutes, I realized that he's drawing something not totally connected with our conversation. So to be honest, I didn't find those time the way how to communicate with Daniel, and I was a little bit, no, I didn't feel comfortable at the beginning, but I accepted that. Next time we met with his assistant, and we told him that today she will give me some tips how I should communicate with him, and the tips was really nice, and really easy. That, for example, that Daniel doesn't use no or yes like we do, but he used the hands. And if you ask the question for him, you can use hands, and the left hand is going to be yes, and right hand is going to be no, and he will show you. So it was his way of communication. When I learned it, I could use it. Also, the assistant, she told me that he has his own communication book with the pictograms. So when I asked him, he took it and we started to communicate with this book. So no, you can see, you can do mistakes and you can look for solutions. And as the last thing, I think that creativity really, really helps. So as I told before, you can try to use body language and gestures when you can't communicate verbally. You can use some papers and draw something, write something. Some people with intellectual disability, they don't write and read, but some people with intellectual disability, they do. So we can try this way of communication. Sometimes I do that. To be honest, also fonts really help. Like if you want to show some movie, some pictograms, which you don't have with you every day, you can use font, you can find what interests you. It's the chance that also a person with intellectual disability, he or she can use the font and show you something. So it's nice way to communicate. But as I told at the beginning, I think that relationships need time and also communication needs time too. So give this time to yourself and to another person and have fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ola. It was really interesting. I know that we have some questions. We will take those questions to answer in the end. And now we continue with PSONI, with Monica, and I hope you are charged because now we need to be active, right, Monica?
Yes. Okay, so my name is Monika. I work in Polish Association for Persons with Intellectual Disability for 24 years now. So when someone asks me what I do in my work, I always like to say that I support people in different kind of aspects. It's always depend of the needs. So this is the most important for me role in my work. And today I would like to invite you to do some quiz about myths and facts about intellectual disability. Now I will try to put my screen and you can tell me if you see my presentation.
Yes.
Okay. So at the beginning, I wanted to tell you something about this myth and fact, because for us, the people who work every day with person with intellectual disability or different kind of disability, after many years of working, it's something normal, something what we do every day. I understand that for people who don't have this kind of relationships, can be difficult, and also it can be difficult because we hear a lot of not true sentences, opinions about disability. And I think the most important is to the knowledge, the most important. We have to know the facts. After we have the knowledge, and after we ask the persons about their needs and what they think about themselves and how do they want to be treated, then we understand them. Then we accept some kind of needs. And like Ola said, empathy is always the good idea. So, now I invite you to do some kind of quiz, and now you have to take your phones and go to the website slido.com and put the code which you see on the screen. After you put the code, you should put your name or your nickname if you prefer. Okay. I see you, Egle, Inga, Monika, Emily, Tania, Susanna, Gabi, Ola. How many of us is here? Susanna, do we know?
So we should be 22 participants.
But maybe not all of you will join our game. We can wait a few minutes more. Okay, and I will put the first question. first sentence. Can you see it on your screens? Okay. So people with intellectual disabilities are not able to work professionally. Do you think it is myth or it is fact? I wait for your answer. Okay. And all of you, I think, said that this is a myth. And I have to go back to my presentation. And this was the first sentence. It's a myth. And now I'd like to show you the short film about Andy and his place of work. Because people with intellectual disabilities can and do work. And now we can see the Andy at his work.
My name is Andy. I work at Buffalo State Pizza. I've been here 6 years in the company. My job is here. I'm a dining attendant, pizza buck maker, dishwasher. Buffalo State Pizza's been here for a long time. My favorite pizza here is a spinach, mushroom, garlic, bacon, gluten-free. For me, working here is a lot of fun. I get to interact with my coworkers and managers, and being here is one of my favorite places to be.
When he first arrives at the restaurant, he's going to be in charge of setting out the tables, chairs, and then from there he starts to wash dishes, and then he does all the food running throughout the lunch rush. He always brings a big smile. He's very competitive. He's always fun to work with. I really don't see him as a person with disability. He's just a great friend. He's just another person that works here.
He really enjoys the interaction that he has with the customers, his co-workers, the owners, the managers. So all the way around, it's a good fit for Andy because one, he enjoys it and he comes back, and this is the longest job that he's had. He gets out in the community, he comes up here and he performs well, he does whatever they ask. They push him here a lot and he always comes through. So it's just helping him grow, giving him some responsibilities and something that he looks forward to doing.
I really enjoy coming here 2 days a week, and I really enjoy seeing my friends. I'm more independent. I'm working, make more money 2 times a week. When I make money, I tend to save it.
He does the same exact thing that we do on a day-to-day basis. I would say with a more positive attitude than most people I've ever met. I definitely think other companies should hire people with disabilities and give it a chance, at least.
JCDS Employment Services, I'm going to just say it straight, it's one of the best ones in the community. The services that we provide, I think we really push to have that sense of independence. And I think that's one of the things that are at the forefront as far as job employment for this community of people.
I want more people to hire more disability people to have a job in the community. Come visit me soon.
Okay, that was Andy. It's not easy to find a job in nowadays for people with intellectual disability. We have in PSONI special office who prepare people to work, who try with them to find the places who are open for people with different kinds of disabilities. Okay, we have the next sentence in your Slido quiz. All people with disabilities have intellectual disabilities. Is it fact or is it myth? And all of you said myth, and you are right, because you know a lot of stuff now after a few of our trainings. But it's also often to think about different kind of disabilities that, for example, the person who use wheelchair, I saw this kind of interact that the lady in the shop, if she see, for example, if she see the person on the wheelchair, she, speak to the person very, very long sentence and very, she think that she should change her way of speaking. So this is, of course, myth, because there are different types and levels of disability. And Maria said about this a lot, because we can meet deaf people who have their needs. We can meet people with autism. We can meet people with physical disabilities. We can meet people with learning disabilities, like Maria said. And not all of those people are people with intellectual disability. So the next question, the next sentence is: disability is an individual matter, applies only to the person with disability. It is also the myth, and you all put the right answer. It's a myth because disability affects the whole family, affects every member of the family. And I want to say something about PSONI experience, because in our association, we support people with intellectual disabilities through their whole life, but we also support the family members. And I gave you two examples of this support, because we have now we have the special program only for members of the family. And the second example is that we have service which we called respite care. It's the I don't know if you know what does it mean, so I tell you a little bit about this. If a member of the family would like to go somewhere, or would like to spend time only maybe father and mother without the child, the person with intellectual disability have assistance for example, 1 day, 2 days, 2 weeks, sometimes it's 2 weeks, and the members of the family have the time for their own. So we call it respite care. And the next sentence in our quiz is: autism can be cured. You can mark your answer if it's fact or myth. And one more time, all of you put the right answer, because it's a myth. And autism is not an illness. Being autistic does not mean you have an illness or disease. It means your brain works different way from other people. If you are autistic your whole life. Autism is not a medical condition with treatment or a cure. And now I would like to show you a short film about what is autism.
According to the Centers for Disease Control, autism affects an estimated 1 in 54 children in the United States. You've probably heard a lot of thoughts and ideas about autism, but here's an overview of what we know. Autism, autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, is a neurodevelopmental disorder that affects a person's social and communication abilities. Persons with ASD also have areas of strong interest and sometimes have repetitive behavior and sensory sensitivities. Autism is sometimes associated with strengths in the areas of visual memory, music, art, math, and science. But each person with ASD is unique. Autism is a spectrum disorder and varies significantly from person to person. Some people with ASD may require significant support in their daily lives, while others may need less support, and some live entirely independently. Changes in brain development associated with autism begin during the prenatal period. These changes are associated with differences in genetics. It is possible to diagnose ASD when a child is between 18 and 24 months of age. Early behavioral intervention helps children with autism learn to communicate and socially interact and has a significant impact on long-term outcome. Support for learning social and communication skills can be helpful throughout adolescence and adulthood. People with autism sometimes have other conditions, such as higher rates of sleep disorders, ADHD, anxiety, depression, and gastrointestinal issues. Treating these co-occurring conditions can make a big difference. As adults, people on the autism spectrum can become employed and contribute in important ways to society. The world is a better place if the qualities of people who are neurodiverse are accepted and valued. The Duke Center for Autism and Brain Development provides state-of-the-art, interdisciplinary clinical care, conducts cutting-edge research, trains the next generation of scientists, and advocates for public policies to help ensure people with autism reach their full potential.
So the next sentence is autistic people are especially gifted. What do you think? It's your time to mark. And I see now, Ola told me that in this corner, in one of the corners, I can see how many of you put the answer. And now I see that 8 of you from 16. So is autistic people are specially gifted? We have 9 answers.
Sorry, Monica, what do you exactly mean by gifted? Talented or?
Talented, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, we have 12 answers, and it is the first sentence. When we can see, I don't know, you see also this that 33 of you percent of you mark the myth, and the 67% of you put fact. So I can come back to my presentation, and I say that this is the myth because only 10% of autistic people show special talents. And autism is a spectrum. This means everybody with autism is different. Some autistic people have high or above high intelligence. Some autistic people have a learning disability and they need support in everyday life. So this is only 10%. So we can say that all of the autistic people have special talents. And on the picture, you can see the autistic artist. He is Stephen Whiteshire, and he has the special ability to do a perfect drawing of anything he sees from memory. So if he sees some kind of landscape, after I don't know how long he remembered this landscape, maybe forever, but after he saw it once, he can draw a drawing very similar to the nature or to the city. So he has a special talent, but not all of the autistic people have it. So the next sentence in our quiz is: people with complex communication needs can communicate with others. What do you think? Is it fact or is it myth? Okay, we have 9 answers. All of you said fact, and you are right, because everyone can communicate, even people with complex communication needs. We have some kind of tools and ways of communicate. We have AAC, it's mean augmentative and alternative communication. And AAC means all of the ways that someone communicates beside talking. And augmentative means that someone speak a little or have some kind of ability to speak, but that person need to add some tools to his communication. Alternative means to be used instead of speech. And we have a lot of different types of AAC. We have no technology and low technology options, like you can see on the picture. We can use gestures, facial expression, writing, drawing, spelling words by pointing the letters, pointing the photos, pictures, or written words. But we have also high technology options, include things like using an app on tablet or on smartphone to communicate, or using a computer with a voice. And what is important, that one person can use different kind of tools, and we call AAC system for all of those tools for one person, because someone can use the no technology tools and high technology tools, and all together we can say for that one person that he or she has a system, AAC system. Okay, we have the next sentence. People with Down syndrome have the same sexual needs as the rest of society. What do you think? Is it true or false? I prefer those words, not myth and fact. It's harder to spell. So 9 answers, 10, 12 from 16. Okay, and we can see how you vote. 7% of you said myth, and the rest said fact. And this is the fact, of course. because sexual needs are not directly related to disability. We are born sexual, we have the same sexuality, but each of us expresses, feels, and experiences it differently. Maybe in case of the sexuality of people with intellectual disability, we have some barriers. Those barriers may be maybe the lack of the sex education or social, families, sometimes professionals' opinion, taking away a person's right to sexuality or to self-determination. So it's a big subject in everyday life of people with intellectual disabilities. They, in my experience, those people like to talk about this. They want to ask questions. They want to have the sexual life, but they need support of others because sometimes they don't have opportunity to express their sexuality. Okay, the next sentence. People with intellectual disabilities will always be dependent on others. Is it myth or is it fact? Nine from 16, 12. Okay. I am very curious about this. It's a big conversation about independent and dependent. Okay. And you put, most of you think that this is a myth. And I also think that this is the myth. Because people with intellectual disabilities can lead their own life, independent life. But we very often say about independent life with support. Because the if someone needs support, it doesn't mean that the person can't, have their own way of thinking about the life, his own ideas how to live, or for our people, I say our people, but I mean the people with intellectual disability which we support. Independent means that they can make mistakes, they can learn, they can choose what they want, they can I forgot the word, but maybe the movie will tell everything.
Tell him to get lost. Why can't we live on his own and got my independence, can go and do what I like?
Having your own space, being able to invite your own friends.
I keep to my door and just in and out and go where I want to and have a social life. Where I was before, I had to ask permission if I wanted any guests to come, so.
I like my own space, I like my own room.
I'm happy on my own and going out and enjoying myself what to do.
I like it. I get my own telly, I get my own stuff, have my own drinks and coffee like you're seeing. Oh yes, great coffee.
I can watch my own stuff when I want to, and I can go out when I want.
Actually, people could probably do a lot of things for themselves if they were given the opportunity.
Cook dinner, make homemade Yorkshire puddings. Oh yeah, I do enjoy that.
I think it's even more enriching and fulfilling if somebody can live independently and live their own life like anybody should be able to.
I've been cooking, making this cake.
It may take them longer to achieve that, but if you persevere and put things in place and build their confidence up, then they fly. They absolutely fly, and there's no stopping them.
Okay. I see that we have, it's late now, so I will try to be more quick now. The next sentence is people with intellectual disabilities can get married. Is it myth or is it fact? Okay, and you said that it is a fact, and it is a fact. On the slide, you can see a piece of convention on the right of persons with disabilities. And according to the convention, any person with a disability can marry. And we should eliminate discrimination against people with disabilities in all matters relating to marriage, family, parenthood, and relationships. So the next sentence is to find understanding with a person with intellectual disability, use simple, almost childlike language. And I think you all know the answer. Okay. The most of you said that this is the myth, and a few of you said that this is the fact, but this is the myth. Because when we spoke with adult person with intellectual disability, we should think about use simple sentences, specific concepts. We should avoid abstract terms or metaphors, but we should treat them as adult. The very important rule is also that you should getting to know the person, because everyone is different, and after you know the person, you will know if you can use more abstract words or longer sentences, and you can be yourself. Okay, we have the last of the sentences. All unwanted behavior of people with intellectual disabilities results from their disability. What do you think? Is it myth or is it fact? Okay. You put your answer, 12. 14 from 16, so we can see the results. And all of you said that this is the myth. And you are right. Because intellectual disability is not immunity. Ola said a lot about that about the barriers, and not barriers, but I forgot the word also, but
Boundaries.
Boundaries, yes, thank you. About boundaries. And we see in every day that people who don't have contact with people with intellectual disability sometimes are scared to put the boundaries. But it is normal in social life, and each of us must follow the rules of social life, including people with intellectual disabilities. So this was the last of the sentences. I can also check if we can see the results, the ending results of you, and Susanna is on the first place of the quiz. So
I cheat.
congratulations. So I
know it's competition. And
I-
we can do better.
okay. You are right, Egle. So thank you very much for your attention and your activity. And I give the voice to Susanna now, I think.
Thank you, Monica. Yes, I cheat, so don't don't see that. Thank you so much. I think it was very dynamic. So it was interesting to see that we still need to learn a lot and to how do you say, study everything that we learned this morning. So I think we will have this last intervention that is from PSPC. I'm trying to see. Yes, she's here. So I will give the floor to Daiva, and she will tell us her story.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello again, everyone. Sadly, my colleague Katrina is sick, so today I will read her presentation. My name is Daiva, and I have a question. What is
It's kind of a dog or a wolf. I don't know.
Or a cat?
No idea.
Maybe mouse.
Or fox. Fox, maybe.
White fox.
Yeah.
Thank you. What is this name?
Clever, smart,
Red one.
Maybe.
It's a very cute fox, though.
sweet. No sweet.
Is he friendly?
Not now.
No.
No, not anymore.
Can he bite?
I think you can.
Yes.
Is it dangerous for people? Why people do not know much about Phoenix fox?
No.
A small
Yes.
fox from North Africa. People do not know much about Phoenix fox. Maybe because never seen, never meet, never had contact, never touched. Is it not the same story with people with disability? How often do you see, meet, contact, or touch? Maybe this is why exclusion happens. People often do not know how to act with people with disability, how to change the situation.
Mano vardas Kotryna. Kiekvieną dieną judu miesto gatvėmis, užsuku į kavines, lankomas vietas. Mėgstu susitikti su draugais, aptarti naujienas. Tačiau kartais susiduriu su keistu aplinkiniu elgesiu ir nesuprantu kodėl.
Oi, vargšelė, tu sėdi vežimėlyje. Gal tau padėt, ką nors reikia?
Ačiū, nereikia.
Bet aš bijau, kad tu nuriedėsi. Į vandenį nuriedėsi, aš tave patrauksiu tolyn.
Nereikia, žinokit, aš pati valdau vežimėlį, viskas yra gerai.
Bet aš tave vis tiek nuvešiu ten tolyn, kad tau saugiau būtų.
Ačiū, nereikia, aš grožiuosi vaizdu.
Labas.
Labą dieną.
Šiandien labai šalta, ar ne?
Tikrai taip, bet tai netrukdo mėgautis vaizdu.
Pritariu.
Kartais atrodo, kad žmonės mane mato tik kaip problemą, kurią reikia spręsti. Bet aš kaip ir jūs, tik noriu mėgautis vaizdu.
Labą dieną.
Sveiki.
Ką norėsit užsisakyti?
Kavos su pienu be laktozės.
Aha. O ta mergina ką gers?
Vis gerai arbatos.
Arbatos. Gerai. Labą dieną. Ką norėsit užsisakyti?
Man kavos su pienu.
Aha. O jūs ką gersit?
Aš gersiu latte.
Gerai.
Kartais aplinkiniai apsimeta, kad asmuo su negale yra nematomas. Deja, tokių galių neturiu. Tačiau kavą galiu išsirinkti pati.
Sveiki, gal jums reikia pagalbos apžiūrėti aukščiau esančius paveikslus?
Ačiū, aš pati žiūriu, nereikia.
Bet jie labai aukšti, jūs gal nematote?
Ačiū, nereikia.
Na gerai. Matau kažką dėžutėse, gal galite man parodyti?
Žinoma, galiu. Kaip suprantu, tai yra sagės.
Labai graži. Įdomu, ką jis simbolizuoja. Ačiū.
Prašau.
Atsisakydama pagalbos dažnai jaučiuosi nepatogiai. Tačiau kaip aš galėčiau priimti tai, ko man nereikia? Būkime bendruomenė, kuri būtų drąsi, pažinti ir susipažinti. Bendruomenė, kurioje gerai jaustųsi kiekvienas.
For more than 5 years, my colleagues and I have been giving lectures about disability. Katerina teaches about spina bifida. My friend Vidas about autism spectrum. Martina and I about Down syndrome. Working together, we can see the situation changing. Our audience is becoming more confident in asking questions. After the lectures, people come up to thank us for our courage to speak. This inspires us to keep going. We are change makers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Daiva. It was really enlightening. And we already met Vidas in another online training. He came for the online training about easy to read. So it's really, really nice to see that you are change makers and you are doing it really, really good.
Thank you.
So thank you, Daiva. So we finished our interventions. I see that we have like 3 comments on the chat. Just to really quick see it before we finish. So Tanya asked also about some link, and I wanted to tell all of you that other than the recording, also the presentations will be available for everyone, so you can see it, the links and the videos again and everything with more time. And then we have a question. Sometimes it happens to me that I don't understand what a PWID says, and I ask to repeat, but again, I don't understand. And this makes the PWID frustrated or angry. How to behave? So, who wants to answer?
I can answer the question, but I need to see it. Give me a while because it's
The
from me.
chat. Yeah.
Oh.
So it happens to me that to ask to repeat, but then I don't understand again, and the PWID becomes frustrated or angry.
Yes, so I think the 2 tips which I think all the tips which I told you are connected with this question. So one of them is like assertiveness, that you should be assertive, and you are not responsible for the feelings of another persons, and you can't just don't understand when you don't know him or her good. In this case, I think that we should clearly set that I don't understand because we don't know each other well, and maybe I need some time to understand you better and better. And now if we want to communicate, maybe we can invite another person, include another person, maybe your assistant who understands you good, and he or she will support us. Because as I told you, the communication is process for me, and maybe you will need time to understand another person. But if she or he is angry, it's not our fault, and it's all not our responsibility. For me, it helps when I'm think in situation like that, how I behave myself, how I behave if I'm not in contact with person with intellectual disability, if it's person without intellectual disability, how I behave myself. And I try to like copy it, like with patience, with being nice. And Yeah, it should be also about equality, that we should treat people with intellectual disability equal. And when we don't understand, just tell it and try to find another solutions. But
Thank
maybe
you, Ola.
add
Thank
something.
you. It was clear. Yes. Okay. Elena, it answers your question. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Ola.
Another question is, someone told me once that autism can come out late in life, like caused by a trauma. Is this a myth? I see someone saying yes, that is a myth. So it comes when you're born. It cannot be caused by a trauma in your life. Okay.
Don't like answer. Monica, you want? I thought you started. Maybe we can. So autism can't appear during our life. Of course, we can find out that we have autism during our lives. We have diagnosed it, of course, but it's not connected with traumas. I think there are some like sicknesses or some things connected with trauma, but it's not autism for sure.
We are born with autism and we always have autism. If someone has autism, that means that he has already born with autism and all his life will have autism. The way that he will be treated and will be educated, that can be changed his life, but autism will be there.
Okay, thank you. Was clear. The last question that we have in chat is, a lot of people have told me that my cousin with Down syndrome is very independent because of the way he was raised. Is it true that for people with Down syndrome, the way that they are raised, receiving love, being treated equally to others, etc., has a significant impact on their independence, or is that just a myth?
Can I say something?
Yes, I think yes.
Yeah, I was about to answer on the chat, but I would say that education has an impact in autonomy, like for everyone. I mean, not only Down syndrome. I mean, the way you raise your child makes him more or less autonomous, and it's the same for everyone, including Down syndrome people. Am I wrong?
Thank you.
You
Someone
are
else?
so right.
You are right, Elizabeth.
So you learn well. But this you know already from life.
Yeah.
Okay, someone else has some question that is not in the chat, or someone wants to give a last comment?
Monica, you said that you was going to share the video in the disk. What is the disk? I mean, your disk. I was like, a disk?
Google disk, our
On the Google
Drive. Yeah.
Okay, fine, thanks.
All
Somewhere
material,
in the drive, then.
all material will be available for the partners, but also after for all the public in the platform. So also not just the recording, but also presentations, the videos, the links, and everything. Okay. So if everyone is clarified, I think we can go and put in practice what we learn here. This training was to fill a need, let's say, that the partners, and also after the need analysis, we realized that some project managers that are not used to involve yet people with intellectual disabilities, they feel this lack of knowledge on how to deal, how to communicate, how to approach with intellectual disability, and these take them not to involve this target group in the mobility project. So we hope that this training can give some tips and some knowledge and give the the courage and the incentives all project managers to involve this target group. So thank you all for being here in this training, and see you in the next one.